Well, firstly, I have to ask you about, I know 25,000 people voted
Yes.
for you to be the voice of Tom Tom.
Yeah, 25,000 people have voted. I mean, I am astonished because you see, it's all new to me. I'm, you know, that I almost feel, I just said earlier, almost like a fraud in the fact that the people like me. I like myself. I love myself. It's important to love yourself. I've got to know myself over the years from my expeditions on camera. Got to know me outside being an actor. And people have got to know me as well. So they see me in documentaries and they see me being myself. And people identify with me. I'm not Sir or Duke or Baron, but Brian to everybody. Everybody, Tom, Dick and Harry, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, they all call me Brian. And so therefore, I couldn't believe, I mean, they have done this, so the public have done this. I've done nothing. I come on now to publicise and things like that. But I was astonished that this man, Richard Gardner, and his merry men from Sherwood Forest, no, not from Sherwood Forest, but his merry men decided, Brian, we'd like to get you as the voice of Satnav. We'd love it with your voice, etc. And I said, fine. And of course, Tom said, if you can find 25,000 people, well, back it would be interesting. And I mean, they got, I think, within 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, and quite suddenly it was 25,000 and 26,500. And it's gone on and on now. It's become massive and huge. And it's the public who've done it. And they, you know, so the public have employed me, which I find amazingly moving.
People find your voice, they have a real affection for your voice, and they find it quite,
that's right.
Quite
it seems to
kind of appealing.
People, yes, I don't think it excites them. I mean, you know, I did the voice for the World Cup, which of course we lost. The British team, Gary Lineker stopped talking and said, now we'll cut to the England game, but before that we'll go to Brian Blessed, you know, once more onto the breach, dear friends, once more, you know, ending up with, God for Fabio, England and St. George! And we lost.
We don't blame you, though.
But I mean,
but so
and suddenly the public wanted my voice, and so they just seem to kind of relate to me, and also relate to the things I've done. Something from, you know, virtually from Everest to, of course, Flash Gordon. I mean, it's interesting that Dino De Laurentiis has just died today, who, of course, begat and created Flash Gordon, not the creator, but the producer of the film, executive producer of their productions, did Flash Gordon. And it's very strange that it's become the cult movie. And relating now to Satnav and Tom Tom, it's become the cult movie of the world. I mean, halfway up Kilimanjaro, Wachaga tribesmen and Maasai would go, you know, would you play day? Brian, will you play day? Boom, 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 boom. Gordon's alive. You know, Gordon's alive! And thank you so much. On Kilimanjaro. And Eskimos and Inuit and the Sherpas on Everest. Everywhere I go. And all over London in scaffoldings and everywhere. And the Queen and everybody wants me to say, you know, Gordon's alive. You know, the Queen, I was at Buckingham Palace the other week, no end to my talents. And I was at Buckingham Palace, would you mind saying, we watch it all the time, the grandchildren and I, would you mind saying Gordon's alive? So I said, Gordon's alive! Thank you so much. And so everywhere I go, and so it's, and everyone wants it on Satnav as well. And it's just given me great joy and happiness. And so therefore, I suddenly put things in that are ridiculous, because I have this ridiculous mind which people like. So I suddenly say, oh, they turn right, now watch the chickens. And things like that, and turn and fly, my hawkman, fly. Oh, no, you're not, don't fly, you can't fly, you're driving a car. Don't listen to that, don't listen, I'm being mad. Drive, my hawkman, drive! And things like that. And don't turn left or right, ignore these signs just here, because they're party political slogans. Listen to that. And then quite suddenly, you know, I'm dropping Gordon's alive, or even a bit of Boss Nass from Star Wars. I'm the great Gungan leader in Star Wars. And suddenly, you won't hear. Watch it, it's very perplexing. Watch out for the marshes. And so I'm doing weird things like this and keeping people alive all the time. And one of the things I really enjoy is quite an accomplishment if listening to my sat-nav, so you go from London to Manchester, and then I suddenly will say, you know, congratulations, you have arrived at your destination. And I do Tarzan.
So I know you grew up in Yorkshire. Have you ever done any voiceover work with your childhood Yorkshire accent?
No, I've not. It's extraordinary. It's about. I must say that I get a bit fed up with a lot of Yorkshire accents that are used on television because I think they're very poor, and they're obviously not Yorkshire. I've always been convinced that good-speaking Yorkshire has immense colour and brain. And my father always said, "Oh, they make us sound so bloody silly and stupid and thick." Well, you know, Yorkshire businessmen have always been sharp. I met the head of the Bundesbank a few weeks ago. He said, "I always employ Yorkshire people in my business. In England, most of my people working here in Germany are Yorkshire. They are so bloody shrewd and ruthless, sharp. That was the word. They are absolute," said the head of the Bundesbank. And I use them a lot. But the Yorkshire people have a wonderful colour and passion. Push, pull, power pack. Come here. Are they coming around yonder? So there's a kind of wonderful lyricism in it and poetry in it. And you can use a Yorkshire accent.
So I know you've done lots of amazing voice projects. You've talked about a few of them. Tom Tom's definitely not the first. I know you even did a poetry reading on a metal album, didn't you, for Pythia?
Yes.
What would you say is the wildest voiceover request you've ever gotten? Is there anything you've had to turn down that's just...
No, I've not done anything. I always say yes to them all. I mean, I love doing different dragons and giving them strange personalities and making the voice come from a distance and so forth. I love doing, and I love doing. The original fairy stories I'm very fond of. Of course, it was ultimately the lovely thing was to realise the dream was to work with Disney and to work with Roy Disney and to play Clayton in Tarzan, play the evil Clayton, the 8-foot man who kills all the gorilla or kills the gorillas and who's the enemy of Tarzan and so forth. And I was 2 years working on that anime. You don't say cartoon, you say animated film. And I was 2 years on that. And oddly enough, when I'd finished it, I was leaving. They were thrilled to bits. This worked very well, Brian. And the reason I've done the Tarzan thing now for you, as I was leaving, the guy playing Tarzan couldn't do the yodel. Whereas as children, it's a Johnny Weasel a yodel. And it's very hard to do. And I said, well, we all did it as children. I said, can you do it, Brian? I said, Christ. So I did the yodel for them that I've just done for you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and my God, and they got a solicitor down. It was a separate contract. And I've been 2 years on Clayton. My God, and I get a contract, get solicitor. And I was there for another week. Oh, they'd fine-tuned it and to what it was. And so therefore, voice work is very intricate. And some of it quite difficult. I've just done, which is last week, there's a big film by Aardman coming out called The Pirates and the Scientists, and I'm the king of the pirates in it. And he is 8 foot tall and a huge mammoth voice. But he has pages and pages and pages. There's an Oscar ceremony when I give prizes like Oscars to all the other pirates. And I'm huge and terrifying. And so when I open up the envelopes, from being huge and big, and the winner is, and then become tiny. It's the pirate captain! And so one can say, if you use a big voice, like I do in this, the tom-tom, and remember this when you're auditioning, I frequently go quiet as well. You cannot bang people's head off all the time. So there's some bits rather nice, and some bits rather easy, and some bits rather like this, and some of it's very loving. So I make some of it very loving and very care and very brown, what I call brown and reassuring, and so forth. And then you drop it in.
So
If you're playing a big character, if you get a big voice, just have moments where you become as tiny as you can. It's just 1 or 2 moments where and then you let it go.
So I know that you're an explorer, a very accomplished explorer, as well as an actor and a voiceover artist. Let me ask you about sat-nav. Do you think sat-nav is a good thing in terms of adventure? Should you turn off the sat-nav sometime, or does it lead you down the road?
Bloody good question. That sounds patronising. I don't mean to be. It is because my biggest love in life is space. So I feel that sat-nav is limitless, and I feel my contribution to it, I hope, will be limitless. I don't look at it just as this, what I've just done already. I want to kind of even preempt. So that we're going 700 agencies are now concentrating on going back to the moon. Mm-hmm. You know, with the other children of Stardust, we become tame as regards expeditions. A bit tame. We need to get out there. We belong out there.
And how does sat-nav relate to that?
Sat-nav you'll need on the moon, on Mars.
Oh, right, like turn left at the
asteroids.
crater.
Of course. And on different adventures. You can put them on adventures to Kilimanjaro. I mean, I could do one for Kilimanjaro. I know all the routes on Kilimanjaro, the Macadamian, this and the classical and so forth, and the different glacier routes, Arrow Glacier, up Kilimanjaro. You can do a sat-nav for Kilimanjaro.
Do you have a favourite gadget at the moment, or is there something that you'd...
Well, I've got my laptop, which I'm just loving.
Do you use a Windows laptop or an Apple Mac?
An Apple, yeah. It's going really... I'm just absolutely loving it. And but Ken Branagh said, you know, I said, I'm doing very well. And he got the shock of his life the other week. And I said, I've got so good that it's a bit like war games. I'm really worried now. I was pretending to sweat. I've broken into NORAD. I'm sure I've broken into NORAD, you know. You talk about me being in the 19th century. I think, I said, yes, very good, Brian. I said, it's true. I've just been threatened on the phone. They're coming round. And I had 3 tanks appear and 2 Bren gun carriers come down on my unmade road. And yes, I've got Lightwater Country Park and all the army training. So I do a lot of work for them and charity for them. I say, can you? I don't like it exactly. And these 3 tanks came down, Centurion tanks, and 3 Bren gun carriers. And about 30 men came to arrest me and arrest team. I'm not. Eventually I said, no, it's all right, really. Joking. Oh, you. Then they left and they went away. Because I have to do an awful lot of charity work for that. But I managed to I convinced him that these bloody Centurion tanks had come to arrest me and I'd broken into NORAD.
Wow, no, but that's a hell of a gadget to have.
But in actual way, it's the fun of it all. But I just am actually. What is lovely, you see, is very helpful for me, is that I've got at least 400 hours of expeditions and stuff that no one's ever seen. I've got all kinds of film that I want to put together, and therefore with my laptop and different things, and all the different things are coming out, wonderful things are coming out, that I can kind of now put my own music to it and then splice it all together. So I'm becoming, I think one must be the master of it, a laptop or anything. We must be the master. We must be the charioteer, not the bloody horses, that we're in charge. But one, I think, welcome technology. It is idiotic and banal and prehistoric. Very stupid to attack technology. It's there for us. It's part of us.